All right, everybody, welcome back. And in this video, we are finally going to be getting started with this shop feature. Now, before we get to that, I got a couple housekeeping items to discuss. So first of all, I want to mention that from the last video to this one, I did a bunch of renaming and reorganizing of these files. I actually started recording it because, I don't know, I just felt like it should be part of this tutorial series. And then halfway through, I'm like, this is the most boring video ever. All I'm doing is like moving files around and renaming things. So I figure I wouldn't torture you and upload that video, but I want to show you what I did. So kind of what we discussed in the last video, what I did is I took that orders app and I moved it into Exchange, because remember, this app now is going to have two different types of orders. One is for the Exchange, and the other is these orders, which we'll call shop orders. So anyways, this model that was the kind of the trade order is now called exchange order. And that's just whenever you trade coins with someone else. And I'll name the other type of order shop order. And then let's see what else I did. Got my little notepad here. So I renamed transfers. As you can see, there's no more transfers app. I moved that into the wallets app, and I also renamed it to wire, because remember that we said a transfer was basically whenever you deposit coins or withdraw them, and we're going to be calling that wire because just like a bank wire, it's like a transfer of funds between two different systems. Now, we are going to be having a transfer model in the future, but that's just going to be an internal transfer, like I'm going to send you some coins or you send me some coins. So kind of like a, I don't know, more like a Venmo type transfer. And a couple other things not related to, well, kind of related to the code, I guess. I got some feedback on my font size. So right now I'm recording my entire screen. Some people like it. Some people think my font size is too small. There was a debate. So I just want to kind of ask for your feedback. Do you like it small like this, or do you want me to bump it up? Your choice. Just wanted to get everyone's opinion before I change anything. And let's see what else we got. So another thing is, I saw Husu, you left a comment, and I actually really like this idea. He mentioned that whenever we are withdrawing funds, it would be nice to be able to see the fee that's going to be charged. And I think this is just a good suggestion for UI UX improvement. So I thumbs up that, and we'll put that in the backlog. We'll get to that probably after the shop app. But thank you, Hasu, for that suggestion. And let's see. Aside from that, I mean, I guess the only other news is I just had a bagel. It was delicious. So on that note, I think we're ready to get started with the shop app. So again, just to recap, for those who skipped the last tutorial or two, what we're going to be doing is taking this shop functionality and moving it into the website, because right now this is part of TNBOS, which is a peer-to-peer application. But since we don't really have the network effect going for this yet, we're just going to go ahead and stick it on the website for now, make things easier. And also on that note, I now have a one sole goal in life, and that is to sell this hand-carved wooden spoon. So this took me a long time to carve. It's my finest and only work as a wood carver. And if I can do this, just sell this one single spoon, then what that will mean is that our economy is born. So it's not going to be easy. I mean, we're going to have to build this entire shop app, a lot of functionality related to this. But again, I like to take complex problems and break them down into kind of more simple terms. So the goal, again, is just for me to sell this one wooden spoon. That's it. So how exactly are we going to do that? Well, I have this roadmap so we can start planning everything out. Don't have anything yet, but let's just go ahead and get to it. So let me bump this up, and all right. So I'll say this is the roadmap for the shop app. And now let me go ahead and kind of figure out how we want to tackle this. So what I'm not going to do is just copy all of my existing logic in kind of model structure from TMBOS, because there are a lot of things in here, like I mentioned, that are kind of related to like syncing data between two devices, and the payment system is going to be a little bit different because, well, just peer-to-peer payments are different than the payment system we have on this back end. But actually, let me close this. And all right. So let me go ahead and think through the natural flow of what we need to make this happen. So before anyone can buy products, you first need someone to like list the product or sell a product. So the seller is going to need to add products first. So I'll say seller add products. And then after they add a product, let me just see the fields here. So activation status, creation day, image. We're going to require an image. Price amount, price number, price ID, seller. Okay. So after they add a product, they're going to go ahead and activate it. And then from there, it's going to be visible on the buyer's UI. Now what the buyer is going to do is they're going to click into this, kind of just talking slow to kind of think through what models are needed in my head. But then once they find a product, they're going to add it to the cart, and then that is going to become a cart product. So say buyer, I'll just say like creates cart product. And then they are eventually going to be placing an order from their cart page, but as a prerequisite for placing an order, they not only need cart products, but an address as well. So before that, I'll say buyer creates address. And again, it doesn't really matter if they create their address first and then add products to their cart, or if they add products to their cart and then they have an address. The order of operations here isn't really important. Just kind of stating that the buyer needs these two things in order to place an order. Interesting. All right. So anyways, once they have those two, they can go ahead and place an order. And then, so let me say buyer places order. And whenever the order is placed, then those cart products are going to be converted to order products. So these are cart products now. Place the order. My cart's empty. Converted to order products. And then let's see what else we have. So address, cart products, already figured that. Manager, this is just for UI, don't need any of this. Order products, order product record recipients, this is for syncing data. Product record, same thing. Products receiving accounts, okay. So whenever I developed this peer-to-peer logic, there was a receiving account, but for this, we are not going to need one. And actually, do we need a payment? So anyways, the receiving account was basically so an account can be created by the seller. And then, for example, if the seller went offline, talking about TNBOS now, then basically they didn't have to wait around and like monitor the account and be online. The buyer could send the funds to that account, and even if the seller was offline, they would be able to come back online, check the receiving account, and see the funds then. However, since we're managing all the state on the back end, do we even need a receiving account and transaction? Because these two things together make like a peer-to-peer payment system, but actually I don't even think that we need a payment model at all. And the reason for that is because whenever an order is placed now, it's going to have a total, and that total is going to be just paid right away. So again, before with peer-to-peer, the buyer was basically placing this order, and then they were responsible for kind of paying for it after. But now, since everything's just managed on the back end and the user has like a wallet included, we won't even let them place the order if they don't have enough funds in their wallet. So I think that we don't even need like a separate payment or transaction or anything like that. This is going to be awesome. Much easier than this peer-to-peer payment system. So buyer places order, and then, yeah, funds are deducted right from there. And let me just say that. Funds are deducted at the time the order is placed. Cool. And let me put this in italics because these are pretty much all the models that we need. So seller adds a product, buyer creates cart product, buyer creates an address, buyer places, got the hiccups, great. Buyer places the order, and then cart products become order products. Okay. Now, with this said, I am wondering how to structure this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 models. What I'm thinking is I can probably just stick these all in a single Django app. I think that'll be easiest. So let me do that. And okay, so I'm going to stick everything in a single Django app. Now, last but not least, let's go ahead and figure out how to break these up into tickets. So I'm actually thinking, although I don't like to do this too often, I like to pretty much keep my tickets as small as possible, because then you can, you don't have like these huge changes and you try and merge in and get a bunch of merge conflicts. So it's nice to have like small bite-sized tickets. However, I also don't like to merge in features that are like halfway complete. And I am the only one working on this application right now, so maybe I'll just have 2 tickets, one for the front end, one for the back end, and I'll just say shop. So let's do that. Okay. So this, I'll just say shop on the back end. And what I'll do is I'll build out the entire back end first, and then I'll just test everything using Postman. And then after that, I'll just work on the front end. Show shop, and then for the front end, let me just say shop. Let's just say the front end of this. Always like to kind of link my front end tickets to my relevant back end tickets. All right, so back end shop 39. So back end, just make sure I'm in sync. And that was 39 shop. All right, so change shop, clear this out, and pull up my Django admin now. Okay. So now let's go ahead and hold on. Got some stuff on my desk, a lot of clutter. Let me organize this. Okay, clean desk, clean mind, ready to go. So CD, the new Boston. Start app shop. Oops. CD desk. Where am I at? You know what? I'm just gonna do this. Okay, and got my shop app. Deleting my models, test, and views because I like to put those in packages. And then first thing I'm just gonna do is register this, and I'm too lazy to type out the new Boston, so just gonna copy this. And okay, so now I gotta register this app. So that's projects, settings, base. shop config. Beautiful. And now let me go ahead and write my models. Actually, let me do this. Let me get my package structure. So I'm going to have models, serializers, and views. All right, now I'll get to those in a bit, but first let me just go ahead and kind of spec out my models. So let me open my boy ChatGPT and content. All right, do I got anything embarrassing here? Cooking pork chops, intermittent fasting, and YouTube content, migration errors. Okay, yeah, and perfect. So next, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create a new model for product. And let me actually just pull up a reference here. And okay. So I'm going to inherit from created and modified, since this is just going to give me a created and modified date, which I want to keep track of on my products. And I'm also just going to, whoa, what's going on here? Interesting. All right, so what does my product model need in it? Where are you at, TMBOS? Okay. Create a Django model with an activation status of or draft. Yeah. Actually, do I want this? So I have two activation statuses, active or draft. I could have that a Boolean, but yeah, I don't think I want to do that. I feel like that's going to come back to bite me if I want to add another one in the future. Okay, so activation status, description, image URL. We don't need that. Actually, we do need that, but I don't want to have what was my other one? Where did I have an image core? All right, so for the image, what did I just call that? Should I just say image? Yeah, I'm sure in the future we're going to support multiple images as well, but for right now, this is fine. And okay, what else do you need? Modified date, name, of course. Name, and then product amount or price amount, then price network. So I'll just say price, even though we're going to have a core. Okay, so core, just think of the naming convention for this. So anyways, this price amount and price core is basically saying what digital currency do you want to be paid in, and then how much is it. So what I can do is just name it core and amount, but I kind of like the idea of prepending it with price, just because I think it's going to be a little bit more intuitive. So let me say price core, and I'll tell ChatGPT price, then I'll rename it later. And then the product ID, and then the seller, which is a foreign key to a user. it's going to be the same as this. All right, so this is good for now. Then we'll kind of patch everything together. Sure, I can help with that. I'm ChatGPT. I'm so smart. I can do everything. Okay, so let's see what we got. Wire. Okay, so this is going to be a text choice as well. All right, so I'll say, what am I gonna name this? I keep opening that accidentally. Okay, so activation status. Okay, so activation status, and what did I have for here? Active and draft. So active, the readable version is active, and of course draft, and the readable version is draft. How many characters does active have in it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need a max length of 6. And all right, so activation status is a character field. These are the choices. Max length of 6. It's going to be required. Good to go. And then let's see what else we have. So next up is, actually, I don't think I want to, do I want a default for this? Maybe I do. Yeah, let's add a default. So default equals activation status dot draft. And my linter will pick up this issue. So activation status, description, name, and the price is going to be a big integer field with no default. So price amount. Okay. So they're going to have to give us a price amount and a price core. And whenever, yeah, I don't want on the delete models cascade because I don't want the products being deleted if we ever have to delete the cores. So models dot, I always forget the name of these. So for keys on delete parameter, not models cascade, not protect either. Set no. There we go. This is interesting too. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So let me just alphabetize these. Okay, so let me make lint. All right, so a product is going to have a created date and a modified date. It's going to have an activation status, and this is either going to be active or draft. Max length of 6, and it's going to be set equal to draft by default. So whenever they first create a product, it's going to be in draft mode. And then when they're done filling out all the information, they can go ahead and activate it to make it live. So they're going to fill out, actually, let me just do this. So you're going to fill out the name, the description, and give it an image, which is not going to be our URL. We're just going to store it on their backend, but name, description, image. And I don't want this to be able to blank equals true because I want that to be required. And then for the price network, this is going to be the core. Basically, do you want like TN or TNB, VTX, so on and so forth. Then the price amount, how much is it? If the core ever gets deleted, then just set this to null instead of deleting the product. And the seller is, of course, going to be the person who sells it. And we don't need a buyer right here because we only need a buyer on the order. So I also want a better string right here. And for the string representation, I'll say the product ID. Let's get the name in here. And I'll say price. So the price for this display, I'll say price amounts, and then I'll say the price core. Ticker. So as the string representation, it'll say like price 100 TNB or something like that. So now with this said, oops, actually let's close all those and kind of just make sure everything's working in Django admin first. So shop models product, and let me just steal my init from over here. And this is, and what I'm doing now is I'm just importing, basically whenever I import my models from shop, I don't have to do models.product. I can just do from shop.models import product. Just makes my models a little bit more cleaner whenever I'm importing them. And then in my admin, just register that. And I like to steal this code whenever I can because I'm too lazy to type basically everything. And here we go. Is my server running? What's going on here? Feels best. Oh, that's interesting. So I have a foreign key that I'm setting to null, but I don't have the field as nullable. You know what I'm going to do for right now? I am just going to go ahead and put cascade, because even though this isn't the future user experience that I want, where let's say we have to delete a core because it's like causing issues or maybe it goes offline, I don't want those products deleted. However, on my front end, I'm going to have to handle the case where it's null, and I think it's just a little bit too much logic to kind of build out all at once. So instead, I'm just gonna make it cascade, and then in the next iteration, I'll handle that edge case. All right, so make migrations, make migrate. Okay. And then in Django admin, what do we got? Let's go ahead and add a product. Actually, where's my, and what image do we got? Let's just use this bacon for right now. Whatever. Okay, so the name is bacon. In the description, juicy bacon for sale. Price is for 20. Price core, TNB, seller, Bucky. Continue editing. Beautiful. All right. So product one is bacon, and the price is 420 TNB. So now what I'm gonna do is probably just get a simple endpoint going on. So let me just say for So for the serializer, I'm probably going to want to have a separate read and write serializer. Yeah. So let's do this. All right, so shop serializers. Product, replace core with product. Don't need my user model. And product read serializer. Actually, let me do this. This should be easier. Let's leverage ChatGPT as much as we can. All right, now what actually, let's do this. I'm trying to give it like an existing pattern, and then, oh yeah, here we go. Okay. So I'll say that okay, here is one of my Django in views. All right, so I'm gonna give it the core serializer in view. And I'll say create a view set for me, my product model. Create a view set and serializer. And serializers for me for my product model here. And I have to be able to give it the logic as well. I'll say I want anyone who is authenticated to be able to retrieve I before E, except after C. I want anyone who is authenticated to be able to retrieve products. Let's see, did I give it my, yeah. The seller to be able to create, edit, and delete products, if I can type. And what other logic do I want? I think that might be it. Okay, so let's say this. I want anyone who's authenticated to be able to retrieve products and the seller to be able to create, edit, and delete products. Show me what you got, ChatGPT. Show me what you got. Okay, so in this case, you're gonna need two serializers, a read and a write. Okay, I agree, I concur. And read-only fields, okay. What do you got going on here? That's looking right so far. Let me just copy that from me real quick. Just a little bit. Okay. 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 Looking good. Looking good. Okay. So product read serializer, it's going to return all the fields. Let me just make sure and have no. Yes, they do need all the fields, and none of them are secret or anything. So that is good. I'm also wondering, since this field, the price score and the seller, so these are actually going to be foreign keys, which means in the response they're going to come back is an integer. But I'm thinking for the seller, whenever we return that, we probably want to return that with a serialized field. That way we can display kind of like this, the name of the seller and then their profile photo and whatnot. So yeah, actually, what user information do I have? So for my users, you have a username. We don't even have profile photos yet. So embarrassing. Okay, but we still want the username. So let's just return a serialized field for that. Okay. So user serializers, user read serializer. See if we can borrow it from somewhere else. Okay. Say in the product read serializer. User using the. Did I just get rid of that file? Using the user read serializer. I just realized that it's probably going to be easier if I just type this out myself, but I did want. Okay, ChatGPT. Let's see what you got here. Okay, so product view set is a model view set. These parser classes are going to allow me to work with images, which I'm going to need. Is authenticated, is object owner, or read only. This is going to have to change. So let me get this queued up, ready to go. Serializer request. So when you're creating it, okay, what serializer do you, well, whenever you're creating it or updating it, you're using the product write serializer, and the product write serializer says that whenever you create it, the seller is going to set to request user. And then once the created, modified date, and seller are set, this is pretty much the fields that are going to be controlled by the system. And anything else is just editable at any time, right? Yes. So the user is going to be able to toggle it to active and draft at any time. Change the description, image name, amount, and core if they want to, and not the seller. So that all looks good. All right, so the creation logic is save it and then return it using the read serializer. Then when you update it, you don't need to have all fields. This is interesting. Do I need this? I don't know if I need this, but I had it in my core, so stick with that. All right, so the instance is the existing instance. The data is data pass in, pass instance, update logic, and same. Okay. And then I wanted to tell, actually, what was ChatGPT doing? Oh, yes. Okay, so from the New Boston users, get this serializer, and then in my product response, seller is going to come back is a nested object, more or less. And then I also want to say that, hey, ChatGPT, this is my class. Okay, so basically I want to tell ChatGPT that typically on most of these models, I reference the owner of the object using the keyword owner, which is a foreign key just to a user that owns the object. However, on my product model, I'm calling it seller. So it may need to change that. All right, so is object owner permission checks currently field, but in your product owner, yes. Represent seller, okay. Here's how you can modify is object owner. Okay, so I don't want to do that either. What I was thinking is that it may give me something a little bit more fancy, but it looks like it's just giving me the same thing with the with this replaced. So is object seller or read only? All right. And let me just ask if there's any way to dry up these. Indeed, there is a way. What are you coming up with, ChatGPT? Is field user... Huh, that's interesting. Now... Ooh, okay, I'm liking this. Ooh. I thought that what it was going to do is just have me pass it in every time I'm using this. However, I'm liking this a lot, actually. Is field user or read only? Not sure about that, but yeah, this is nice. Okay. All right, so basically we're saying that it's the same permissions. We have to make sure that the requesting user is either the owner or the seller. However, in this base class right here, instead of doing this, which we had before, just matching the object.property to the request user, instead we are setting a user field to none, and then in the class that's inheriting it, the child class, we just set the kind of the user field property. Just thinking of my naming convention. Is field user or read only? I don't like that name. Is field user, is object owner, is field user. So this is interesting. So I basically want a word for the person who like owns the object, but it's not the owner, and I don't want to say seller. You know what? This field user actually is sounding better right about now. So, okay, let's roll with this. Yeah, I think we're kind of good to go right now. So now what I'm going to do is just make my URLs, and what I can do is copy this from core and go to products, or excuse me, shop URLs, and I'll say products and views product. I am looking at the product view set. Okay, so my URLs are looking good for this, and now I just gotta tie these to my main project, and I should be good to go to start testing. New Boston shop URLs. All right, so make lint failed, but okay, it looks like I didn't like this too much. All right, so it looks like it doesn't like that it's first, this user field variable is first being cast to none, and then later on we're setting equal to a string. However, if we just type it out as optional string, then let's see what our linter says about that. And I forgot to import optional from typing. And then one more time, because the first time it should have fixed it, and then there we go. All right, looking good. So now let me open Postman. And all right, so first thing I want to do is just log in. Get out of here thing. All right, so I'm gonna log in and username Bucky, password 1234. Get my access token, and then for the products endpoint, I'm just gonna call bearer with that token, send, and all right. So my products endpoint is working good so far, and everything is coming back. The seller is nested using this user read serializer, and then create a date, modify date. It's in draft mode. Okay, looking good. So now, with that being said, let me go ahead and try to create a product. So I'm going to create a product, and let's see, I want form data, and all right, let me just go ahead and send this in, get some errors back. Okay, so name of this product is going to be spoon, one spoon. The description is going to be like a hard one spoon. Yes, I know I have to work on my marketing skills. All right, so the price amount, I'll say 100. And the price core, this is going to be foreign key. And let's see. So for the cores, this, okay, the newboston.net is foreign key 1. So 100 TNB. And then for the image, this is going to be a file, and I'll just say bacon right now. Looking good, looking good. And yep, seller, that's me. And also just to kind of do some quick QA, let me pass in an unauthorized request. Beautiful, not authorized. Okay. And then, so this is 3. Now let me just go ahead and try to patch, aka edit that. And I'll say I want to change the description to soft wooden spoon, and the price amount, say $2.60. Description, soft wooden spoon, price amount $2.60, and everything else is the same. Now another thing that I'm considering is serializing this price core, but I don't think that we need to. And that's because the way I have it set up on the front end, whenever you first log in, it's going to pull all information for all cores. So it's already going to have like the ticker, the full name, the logo, so on and so forth. So we can just pull this right from Redux and keep everything nice and lean. Of course, we don't want to do it for seller, because whenever you log in, it's not like we want to pull all the users down for the entire database from but for the cores, it's fine since they're kind of a key part of the entire application. Okay, so now what next? Okay, let me go pee, and then we'll tackle the next feature. Let's see, pause. All right, so seller add products. It's looking good. Let me just cross this out for now. All right, now the next thing we have is for the buyer to create cart products. Okay, now what I'm going to do is kind of leverage ChatGPT a little bit more, because yeah, it was pretty impressive with its work on products. And okay. Next, create a cart products model with created date and a foreign key to the product. And okay. Okay. Now create a cart product model with now create a cart product model that will keep track of the products buyer adds to their cart. Include a foreign key for the buyer, created dates, and a foreign key, I'll say foreign key to the buyer, and a foreign key to the product. I think that's all we need. Because yeah, the buyer only has one cart. Created and modified, that works actually. Okay. So let's close out all these and shop models. Cart product. Okay. So we got it created and modified, but that's okay, even though we aren't really going to need the modified date because they aren't going to be able to modify these cart products. If they ever want to remove an item from their cart, they're just going to delete the entire thing. But I mean, it's all standard, so it's all good. Meta, we don't use this at all. Okay, so the buyer is going to have a foreign key to user. If you delete them, then if you delete the user, then the products are deleted as well. And then for product, foreign key to, let me say, shop dot product, and then related name. So cart product ID. Make that more readable. Buyer username and the product name. Okay. And actually, let me go ahead and just make sure we have something to test it around with. So cart product or cart product. I think I may need to create another user. Yep, and let me just go ahead and create one right now. All right, so Amy, your password can be the same. Password is too common. All right, so now I have two users, Amy and Bucky, and then Amy, and I gotta make migrations. All right, so now that we got that up and running, so it turns out that Amy really loves this wooden spoon. Actually, let me delete one of these wooden spoons since I created two of them. All right, you know what? In fact, Amy loves bacon, and Amy also loves this wooden spoon of Bucky's. So now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log in as Amy, and Amy's password is bacon12345. And now, once we have our auth token, we can begin. Okay. So, let's say, actually, what do I need? Create a serializer and view set. And view set for cart product. Yeah. All right. So now, ChatGPT, I want you to create a serializer and a view set for cart product. I'll say buyers should be able to. And in fact, how do I want? All right, so anyways, buyers should be able to add and remove items from their cart. Now I'm thinking how I want this data serialized, because, I mean, if the user is looking at these products, then they're already going to have these products in their store, and whenever they, for example, add it to their cart, then we really only need the foreign key because we can just look it up in the Redux store. However, then I'm thinking, if for some reason they're on their checkout page and they refresh this, then they're going to fetch the cart's endpoint to figure out what products they have there, and then the product actually isn't. Yeah, so then we'll have to fetch the product again. So I will say that in the serializer, we want to serialize the product using the product read serializer. Serializer, we using the product read serializer, which you should be familiar with already. And another thing is that I wanted to say buyers should not be allowed to add items to their cart from multiple sellers. And I think that might be it. Well, at least it's a start. First, let's create cart product serializers. We'll create read, flexibility. Great. I like where this is going. Fantastic. Great job. You're doing awesome. Keep it going. Keep it going. ChatGPT, I think I'm in love with you. This is amazing stuff. All right, so now let me go ahead and create a new cart product serializer and a cart product view. All right, so what do you got for the serializer? Okay, so cart product serializer, you are saying that it's a model serializer. The product is going to be serialized using product read serializer, and it's going to serialize product fields all, which is create modified buyer product. Looking good. All right, now for the write logic, again, these are kind of system controlled fields. Whenever you create it, the buyer is automatically set by the request user. And then, okay, this comment is good for readability. Okay. So for the cart products, it's basically all the products where the buyer is the request user. Now, if anything exists in that query set, then get the seller for that and create a set from all of the sellers. And if the product seller from the product they're trying to add is not in the set of existing sellers, which there should only be one in the set unless something went wrong, then I'm going to say you cannot add products from different sellers to the cart. Did I read that right? Okay. So get the product seller for the product they're trying to add. I wonder if this should actually be in a separate validation method. Let's ask. Since this seems like data that would be validated before this create function would be called. Yes, that's a great point. It's good practice to place validation logic in a separate method. Okay, cool. That's what I love about ChatGPT. I love working together on these things. We can learn a lot from each other. Validate the attributes. Okay. Do this. Okay, so whenever you validate this, and you're just gonna validate everything with the parent class, which is just a model validation basically, and then you're gonna get the request, pull the user from it, and same logic as before. And then after you ran your validation, then you can just go ahead and run this crate with all the validated data. Request, buyer, looks good. Okay, cool. And now let's see what you got for the view set. Is this right for the view set? Sear. Wait a minute. First of all, I got something in my eye right now. Okay. Anyways, let's go back to the product. Nope. Product view. There we go. Perform create. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do is just say this. Based on these standards. I think ChatGPT may have got a little bit confused mixing a serializer with, unless I just copied the wrong thing, but cart product view set. Parser class, I don't need that. Okay, so this is what I wanted. Now for the, let's say, wallets. Yeah, don't need that parser class because, okay. So I don't need this parser class. And then the owner of this cart is the buyer. So in that case, I'm going to create a new so say is object the buyer or read only, and the user field for this is buyer. And then I'll say for cart products, the buyer is kind of in charge of everything. All right, so the permission classes that you need to be authenticated and you need to be the buyer to basically do anything to your cart. And for the query set, this is going to be different as well. So for the query set, QRS. All right. So for the query set, we basically want to say the same logic right here, where cart product objects filter buyer equals request user. Cart project objects filter buyer equals request user. Buyer equals user, and then for this top level query set, we can just do none. Okay. So what we're saying right here is that whenever they are retrieving items, then only retrieve the items that you are the buyer for. Basically, you shouldn't be looking in anyone else's cart. And now let's just do a quick sanity check. Okay. So whenever you are creating a new cart product, you are going to be using the product rate serializer. Same thing if you are doing any partial updates, which I don't want, right? Yeah. No updating allowed because there was no need. Yeah. So and there's no need because even if they want to update their cart, they just delete the product. So I want to disallow updates. I think I just have to remove this update, but I want to make sure there's no baked in behavior. Simply remove the update. This will prevent. Okay. Method not to return action since these will no longer be valid. Fantastic. Now, cool. Oops. All right, so if you are creating an object, then use the product rate serializer, and the product rate serializer is basically just going to do all your basic validation. Make sure you're not going to try to add products from different sellers into the same cart, and then do your model validation. If that's good, it's just going to create and return your cart product, and then it's going to return that data using the read serializer after it gets created here. And in the read serializer, it's pretty much just serializing the cart product with the product also serialized. And if object buyer should be the one in charge, is object buyer. Okay. Now let me lint this. And I think I'm on my migrations are good. Didn't change anything, right? Make migrations. By the way, we also need to write a bunch of tests, but I like to do everything, testing everything manually at first, just because I don't know, seems development is a little bit easier that way. But either way, let's go ahead and say, okay, so Amy, you're logged in, fantastic. Now, I also want to get Amy's cart products. And for this, you're gonna need to authorize you with this new token because this is Bucky's token. So let's go ahead and, oops, no endpoint because we didn't create one yet. So embarrassing. All right, so shop URLs. So from views, cart product, import cart product view set. And now for, oops, cart product view set, and for products, product view set. So now, hopefully when you get the cart products now, okay. So Amy has 2 items in her cart, some juicy bacon from Bucky, and this is cart product 1 and Amy's buyer 2. And she also has that wooden spoon, soft wooden spoon. And this is interesting as well. So I'm looking at this right here. Okay. So if I actually wonder what happens in this case. So say that Amy is shopping. My name is Amy. I'm shopping, adding items to my cart. I'm loving it. And then an item like this black t-shirt and gray t-shirt gets added. However, at this point in time, Bucky is going to mark one of these as draft again. Maybe he wants to change the image or the name. What is the user experience like for Amy? Because if we just delete it, then Amy's like, wait a minute, I just added 2 things to my cart and I went to check out and now there's only 1. Another thing that we can do is let her place the order and then throw an error, but that's kind of annoying because then she might be like, well, if this was going to cause an error, then why'd you let me add it in the first place? So I don't know what to do. This is interesting. Okay. If everything's legitimate and it's added to the cart, but then while it's in the cart, Okay. Okay, what I'm thinking, and I mean, what I can do is just say, oh man, this is tricky, because I can just say that whenever you're returning this query right here, for example, if you are on the checkout page, then I can add a logic here to filter out any cart products where the product is then in draft mode. But the problem with that is, let's say that we even allow Amy to place her order. So we take that, let's say that one of these is in draft mode, one of them is inactive. We only return the active one to the front end. And then Amy places the order, and in her orders, she only has 1 product in there, so that's going to be good. However, at the point in time when Bucky makes that product active again, then Amy's going to have an item in her cart that just appeared out of nowhere, it's going to feel like. So what I'm thinking is the logic that we probably want is that if there is a product in anyone's cart and the seller makes that product draft mode again, then we probably want to just delete it from their cart automatically. Yeah, I think that's the logic that we want. So that's going to involve a little bit more tricky logic, probably not really appropriate for this initial MVP, but yeah, something else to keep in mind. Also, throwing it out to the everyone out there, if there's better logic, if anyone else worked on an e-commerce solution, or you just have any other ideas, then yeah, let me know. This is a kind of tricky situation. But anyways, let's see what we got going on here. So we already retrieving this, and now let me just go ahead and, all right, let's just see if we can delete some of this. So let me delete something and add it again, just to make sure this is working. So Amy, you got 2 items in your cart. You're loving it. You are a shopaholic. Okay, next thing that you're gonna do is you are going to delete the first cart product. So Amy, none of these. You are going to delete cart product 1. And now let me just go in Django admin and okay, so Amy got 2 items in her cart. She's gonna delete cart product 1. No content, deleted, and now when I refresh this, okay, beautiful. And now she should be able to add that back in again. So, ooh, you know what else? We are gonna make, yeah, we're gonna have to make a unique constraint as well. I just realized. Okay, so next, what Amy's gonna do is she is going to create a cart product. And for this, all right, so the wooden spoon was product ID 3 and the bacon was ID 1. So let's say Amy wants to add product 1 to her cart. She's going to post cart products this. And now she should again have a wooden spoon and bacon in her cart, even though we didn't figure out this draft logic yet. Actually, let's add some notes here. So as part of the validation, the product that's being added should not be in draft mode. And then another note that I want to add is a unique constraint. Basically saying that if Amy already has bacon in her cart or like a wooden spoon or something, she shouldn't be able to add it again because it doesn't make sense. It's just to add the same product over and over. So now, okay, there is this error where you see Amy has bacon in her cart twice, so need to fix that. And then, okay. So what's this? Add a unique constraint. Can't add the same product to their cart twice. Or let me say, not twice, but multiple times. You can add a unique constraint to the meta class. Yep. Okay. And then just use this as the boilerplate. All right. Unique together, buyer and product. However, I think that this is the preferred. Yeah, okay. Yep. So ChatGPT wants that ahead of me. Unique together is going to be deprecated in the future, so might as well just do this. Buyer and product need to be unique together, which means that, yeah, they pretty much can't add the same product to their cart multiple times. And then let me actually go ahead and test this first. So first of all, cart products, let me just delete these. And then I need to make migrations again. Not to my cart, make migrate. And is my server up and running? All right, so now let me go ahead and see. Amy, you don't got anything in your cart right now. Now you're gonna go ahead and add this juicy bacon. Looks good. And let me just pull the cart down. One item, looking good. Now try to add it again. And it says, okay, so this is good and bad. Because I mean, it didn't allow it, but now I got a 500 error instead. And why is that? Because I thought that this should validate it. So when a buyer attempts to add the same product to their cart again, they should receive a 400 level Okay, so basically whenever the I'm basically saying whenever the buyer tries to add the same product to their cart, then just give them an error message instead of crashing my server. And I'll just give it a little update to let ChatGPT know where we are. Huh. I thought all that happened automatically. Interesting. Okay. This can be done within the crate method. That is interesting. I always thought when there was a unique constraint like this, that this kind of got handled or checked for as part of validation, but instead what's happening is it's not being checked for, obviously. And whenever Django tries to create it right here, that is when it's throwing that 500 error. That doesn't sound very efficient, but I mean, if we did validate it or check for it right here, then I think it would just be an extra query because, yeah, I mean, it's already going to check at a database level, so maybe it's easier that way. It doesn't feel that great, but make lint to clean this up. All right, so now let me just go ahead and check what's going on with this cart. So Amy got bacon in her cart, doing a little bit of shopping, and now, all right, she's trying to add it again. It says the product is already in your cart. Let me ask ChatGPT, should take place in the crate method or validation method? More appropriate to handle in the crate method because validation method only deal with data that's passed to them and not interact with the database directly. It's interesting. Also, I think if you do it in a validator, then you may end up with a race condition because it could validate. And then in that time, okay, well, this is fine. Now, what else do I need to do? Another thing I want to ensure is that needs validated when adding cart products is that the product is not in draft. Should I say the product is not in draft mode, or should I say the product must be active? And that way, if we can, yeah, must be active to be added to the cart. Okay. That way, if we add more activation statuses later, we just aren't checking if it's not draft. Like it explicitly needs to be active to be added. Okay, what's going on? All right, here we go. Okay, so cart product ready serializer. Attributes, this. All right. All right, so and is this going to be a product instance or an ID? Well, let's find out. Okay, so let's delete this. All right, I'm deleting your bacon, and let me just go ahead and add it again. Product must be active to be added to the cart, and yeah, it is a product instance. Okay, so now that is good, and let me just go ahead and activate this bacon. This bacon is now active, and now Amy should be able to add it to her cart. What am I doing with this? All right, Amy, you're getting that juicy bacon soon enough. Everything is looking good. Okay, let's do a quick sanity check. I think I want to clean this up just a little bit. I can pluck off all my attributes at the top and then run my logic after. Okay, now let me lint this and push it up. And also, I believe we can do this. Buyer creates cart products, and that includes deleting them as well. Okay, product must be active. All the products for the user, if that exists, so on and so forth. All right, and then what? All right, so for the back end, this ticket is 39, shop. And let's open a PR now, just so I can review it, even though it's not ready to merge. So this ticket is going to close number 39. And let me just do a quick review. Just to make sure everything is good so far. Okay, so field user, you pass in the user field and it checks for whatever object dot that field is equal to the user. It could be the buyer, owner, seller, object buyer, object owner, object seller. Safe method is true. Registering the shop app, including shop URLs. We have two models, the cart product and the product. Shop config, migrations looking good, migrations still looking good, migrations, they're looking great. All right, in cart product, cleaning up our imports. Foreign key, if the user's ever deleted, then their cart products are deleted, created, modified. Unique constraint, so they can't add the same product to the cart multiple times. A beautiful string method, so we can look at it in Django admin. And activation status is either active or draft. Draft by default. Products have description, an image, which is required, a name, a price, a core, in other words, currency, and then the seller. String method, cart product. Whenever you're reading it, the product is also serialized. Whenever you're writing it, these fields are controlled by the system. And then for the creation logic, we are checking for that integrity issue, for that unique constraint. And then for validation, we are making sure that the product they're trying to add is active. And also they're not trying to add products from different sellers. And for the product read serializer, for the product, we're basically serializing the seller as well, so we can display that along with the product. We have to make a mental note to add a display image to the seller too. We'll do that whenever we add a profile to the app. But anyways, for writing products, these are controlled by the system. The seller is automatically populated. They don't need to pass that in. And then these are my endpoints. Cart products endpoint and products endpoint with the related view sets. And for the views, so for the cart product, you need to be the buyer to pretty much control your cart. And this is the query set, default query set. And all right, I think one last file. For the product, it's the seller who has control of the product. And then for the product, it's going to take parser class because we allow images, permission classes. The seller can do what they want. And then for all, this is so. Okay. Now another thing that I am seeing now is one other issue, and that's this. All right, so for the shop views product, how am I going to say this? So basically what I saw is that right now the default query set, whenever you're pulling down products, I'll show you, is pretty much just to pull down all products. And we do need anyone to be able to pull down products so they can actually view them right here. However, if you are a seller, then you should also be able to see, basically the logic's this. If you are not the seller of a product, then you should only be able to view active products. All right, if you are the seller of, let me see, users should be able to retrieve all active products and along with draft products that they are the seller for. Users should be able to retrieve all active products along with any draft products that they are the seller for. Also, I said this, I made a tweet about this, but from what my hypothesis is that AI is getting to a place where we're basically going to be able to type in business requirements in outcomes of final product. And for that final product, whether it's a mobile app or a website or whatever, if there's anything you want changed about it, you can just input it in human language and it will just change it. Now, of course, that's going to be a whiles away, but I mean, in the near future, distant future, sometime in the future, that's kind of my hypothesis. Okay. Now, do we need is authenticated? Because if they aren't authenticated, do we need is authenticated since we have this already? Okay, in your case, since you aren't strictly using this authenticated permission, can I send your product view set? You technically wouldn't need the if. Check. Okay. Okay, ChatGPT. Okay. So, get element will be Q. Alright, so for getting the query set from models product okay, so for the query set for this product view set, so if you are creating return all products for a seller. If you're creating, updating, or this, I don't think this is right. Sellers. Activations. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. All right. So whenever you're performing operations, all right, let me just see what I'm working with here. And models Q. Unauthenticated, so I don't want this at all. Okay, so okay, now we are getting somewhere. Okay. So anytime the user is trying to do anything to their products, then the query set of available products should just be any of the ones where they are the seller. Now, if they're not doing any write operations, basically if they're only reading from it, then user should be able to query any product that's active or any product that's in draft mode that they also are the seller of. Perfect. And I don't need this comment. It's pretty self-explanatory. So on that note, I think, all right, let me just test this. Okay. All right, now check it out. All right, so this is Amy, right? QUVG. QUVG, okay. So whenever you're getting products, if you're not authorized, then you can't view any products. You need to be logged in to see the app. Now, for, let's see, Amy, do you got any products? No, these are both Bucky's. Yeah, these are both Bucky's products. One is in draft mode, and the bacon is the only one that's active. So Amy right now should only be able to see the bacon, since Bucky's spoon is not active, and that looks good. And now, whenever Bucky, pass 1, 2, 3, 4. However, whenever Bucky queries this endpoint, whoa, then Bucky should be able to see both, because yes, even though this is draft, he is the seller of it. So good to go. Beautiful. So now, actually, let me do make test, even though we only got 2 tests, and I'll do lint one more time. All right, so let me go ahead and push this up, and I'll say update get queries. Update query product logic. All right, so the seller can add products, buyer can manage, and also in addition to just adding products and creating products, we pretty much built out the entire backend for the product and cart product management system. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, still got 2. Actually, we got the address, which is going to be pretty easy, the order model, and then the order products model. But yeah, making good progress. But either way, yeah, thank you for watching. I think I'm gonna end the video right here. Maybe I'll record a little bit more tonight. But also make sure to, if anyone has any ideas on that, like cart product becoming draft product again, then yeah, feel free to let me know. And yeah, again, thanks for watching, and see you next time.